etc. It got boring after that. Anyway, good evening. You are most welcome to A Date with a Dinner Set, program 252 here on this beautiful evening on May the 18th. I do hope this finds you well. Good evening, Janet. Good evening, Mr. Mark Turville. And first of all, congratulations to you and Natalie on the birth of Benjamin on Thursday. Absolutely fantastic for you all. So we all send lots of love. Absolutely brilliant. So I hope this finds you well. I'm going to say it again. It seems to have been quite a quick week. That's what happens when there's lots going on in the world, I think. And it also helps, doesn't it, with continued lovely, bright, sunny weather. Amazing. Yes. So indeed, as my brother's chatting away to himself largely, that was indeed the Eurovision theme. The theme that started to be used for the Eurovision Song Contest from its inception in 1956, and otherwise known as the EBU theme, the Euro Broadcasting Union theme, and a few of the idents that went with the Eurovision Song Contest. But of course, it's a proper bit of music, really, isn't it? And only been sort of taken for the purpose. It was actually composed by this chappie here. He takes a very good photo, doesn't he, considering it was 1692. Does Marc-Antoine Charpentier, who was one of the most prolific of the French Baroque composers. Apparently wrote over 800 pieces, and that very famous theme is the march from the Prelude to his choral piece Deum. And it's become very well known for all sorts of reasons. It often turns up when I get to play for a wedding. People like the pomp and the ceremony with which it announces itself. So there we go. That was our opening one, and that perhaps gives a flavour of some of the things that are to come this evening on A Date with a Dinner Set. We do like to reference things that are happening, do we not? So, what else are we going to say? What a peculiar programme, looking at the list going down here. Most bizarre. Ah, hello. Hello, Marion. How lovely to see you. You have been missing and missed. It's very nice to see you. Hope you and all the family are well, Marion. Okay, here's a nice easy one. If you want to join in with the chat about what we're playing tonight, either about the song or the context or the composer, any of the above, what you're eating, the weather. Actually, not much to say about the weather, really, is there? Because from what I can see, it's been sort of basically sunny everywhere. But by all means, if you want to chat about that, you go for it, all right? I'm going to play. Oh, I'm not. I'm going to have coffee first. Do enjoy. It's not always cold up there, isn't it? I'm just sort of helping along with that merry conversation. I see we've got the white box back, so sorry about that. I'm not quite sure what that's about. Hello, Rosie. How lovely to see you. Long time no see. Upstairs and downstairs. Fantastic. Yeah, I'm not even going to try and get rid of that white box. It's a camera setting, and I'll sort it out another day. At least you know where to look, you know. Yes, of course. The Bare Necessities. The Bare Necessities from, so good they named it twice, from 1967, composed by Mr. Terry Gilkyson. Terry Gilkyson, as well as doing his very best to promote some cigarettes, was an amazing folk singer. And he also worked for a time for the Disney Corporation. And The Bare Necessities as a song predates the film, in that it was written for a previous version of The Jungle Book, which never came to life. But when the Sherman Brothers took over the musical side of the project, they decided to keep that song in, as it was such a banger, which indeed it is. It's one of those songs, isn't it, that everyone seems to know. And fortunately, of course, it was retained in the 2016 remake of that film as well. So that was our jolly little opening one this evening. Do hope you enjoyed that. As always, just a quick reminder to press the thumbs up button and allow it to illuminate to check that you have done it. That's very kind of you. And if you are totally new to this and you are not subscribed to the channel and you would like to be, just press that subscribe button. It's YouTube, so it is free, of course, to do too, and we'd love to have you as a part of our YouTube community here on Gigi the Piano Man. And as always, as I say, like, comment and sharing on does help our merry little channel to grow. I'm going to go back to camera, and you know, the white box might have disappeared. No, it hasn't, so you're just going to have to cope with that. Sorry about that. There's always something, isn't there? Always something to be happy about. Yeah, let's have something a bit calmer. You're quite welcome not to know the name of this. We've had it a few times on the show. I rather like it as a song, and I hope whether you know it or not, you will enjoy the change of gear and mood. Good ideas, brother. Very good ideas. Yeah, it could have been a Peter Skellern ballad, and the way I was playing that piano part could indeed have been Elton for a time. Yeah, I would absolutely agree. Interesting you should say that, brother. Just hold that thought for about another 6 minutes, will you? Now, I came across that song when it was sung by this lovely lady, Liza Minnelli, back in the 1980s, and she'd just been through quite a rough time, one of her many rough times. And she was doing the sort of chat show circuit, and she was singing that lovely song. The song is called So Sorry I Said, and it was actually composed in 1988, and it appears on her studio album Results, which came out in 1989. Bit of a departure for her. Before, of course, it was all been sort of show songs and big Broadway brash stuff, sort of stuff we naturally associate with Liza, but this album was much more introspective. And the interesting thing about it is that the track was composed by the Pet Shop Boys, and there they are with Liza. So the main composer on the left there, Mr. Neil Tennant, who I believe is in his 71st year this year. Amazing musicians, those guys, and obviously quite characters as well, and that's probably what appealed to Liza. And the Pet Shop Boys wrote that song for Liza. They also totally produced her studio album for her. There you go. You see, you heard it here. Let's talk about this week's upload. The month of May has all been James Bond covers, and this week it was the turn of the Paul McCartney one, Paul McCartney and Wings from 1973, the rather iconic and hugely contrasting theme to Live and Let Die, which was the first outing for Roger Moore. So quite a bit changed in that movie. And some very iconic and vaguely frightening titles, I do recall. And the music is full of amazing stuff, written by Paul McCartney with an absolutely huge hand from his friend, the producer George Martin, who orchestrated both that title song, and in fact George Martin wrote the whole score apart from the title song. And George Martin, he's an absolutely amazing musician, was an absolutely amazing musician, and he didn't really always get the credit he deserves. He had a lot more to do with these successes than initially meets the eye. So there we go. So once again, you are most welcome to A Day Within a Set, Programme 252 here on this sunny May the 18th. Apologies once again that the Square Box Demon is currently with us. But like I say, it just reminds you where you should be looking and focusing your attention, I think. Let's have something different. Brother, I hope you are still holding that thought. See, I didn't see what you put in before you took it out, Hannah. But indeed, that is indeed what it is. Desafinado from 1959. And composed, of course, by the one. Oh gosh, that was close. It's in a different position today. The reason that's where it is it would have been in the way of Mr. Bean. You see, I do think of these things, but we nearly have an accident in the process. Composed, of course, by the wonderful Mr. Tom Jobim. I'm not quite sure what he has on his head. I'm going to suspect a cold flannel. And there he is with Stan Getz for saxophonist and João Gilberto, the husband of Astrid Gilberto, the amazing guitarist. And all three of those guys just really are bossa nova personified. Stan Getz made perhaps the most famous recording of that, but Tom Jobim does a pretty good job himself when he sings it, especially when he plays guitar as well. So, yes. Oh, DEASAFINADO, yes, and why not? Why not? So, yes, DEASAFINADO. Now, that white box, it's so annoying. Sorry, I won't look at it. I know you've got to, but I don't have to. So one of the transliterations of DEASAFINADO is slightly out of tune, slightly off key. And here we go. Hope you're listening, brother, because the piano is starting to feel the effects of all this lovely weather, and it really does need a bit of a tune-up. So, if you want to donate £1 or so towards having the piano tuned, that would be fantastic. It blimmin' well needs it. Or if it doesn't need it immediately, which it does, it's going to be pretty uncomfortable in a few weeks' time. I first noticed it this week, actually, when I was recording Live and Let Die. It was quite squiffy then. So, yes, there we go. What a lovely link that was, playing slightly out of tune to go along with our slightly out of tune piano. So DEASAFINADO by Antonio Carlos Jobim from 1959 was indeed what that was. I need to finish this lovely cup of coffee I've made. No, I say it myself. So it looks like the tie is coming out quite well, actually. So it's just, I'm not sure if we've had this tie on the program before, but it was designed by one of my favourite designers, the Italian designer Fornasetti. And as you can hopefully see, it's multicoloured corals and anemones and things. And I do recall the first couple of times that I went to Egypt and paddling around, seeing corals of this colour. The last time I was in Egypt, the corals were not this colour. They'd been bleached and were rather grey, which was very, very sad to see. But there we go. So we have to be reminded of how our world was and perhaps is in a few places by my time. Let's have something lively again. want me to have another go at it, brother? What? Ah, I thought you might recognise that, Mark. You probably recognise it from The Muppet Show. That's just a rough guess. You're correct with the title. It is indeed called Java, and it was composed all the way back in 1958 by this lovely, smiley, happy chappie who was, as you can see, Alan Toussaint. And Alan Toussaint was a very big figure in New Orleans as an R&B man. Very much a behind-the-scenes man is how he is described, which is a shame because he was an absolutely fantastic pianist, composer, singer, arranger, etc. And that's one of his most famous own compositions. It became much more famous in 1963 when it was recorded by trumpeter Al Hurt. And here in the UK, it was taken up in 1964 by the BBC when they started their Vision On programme. And there's Tony Hart. I think he's been sniffing that marker pen a little too much there. Clearly enjoying himself far too much in that candid photo there. But yeah, we know it as the outro theme to Vision On. But it's a great bopping instrumental track in its own right as well. Good evening, Maggie and Jerry. How lovely to see you. Fantastic. Whenever you tune in, people, we are always pleased to see you. You are most welcome wherever and whenever you are. That's what you remember it from. Yeah. At some point, brother, maybe next weekend, you have to tell me what on earth Take Two is. You know? Okay, so what do you mean before your time? It was exactly your time. I'm just amazed you can remember it at all. You know, it's fantastic. Well done. Yes, now one of the joys of having your own global, universal satellite broadcasting system is that you can sort of plug your own things, really. So I'm just going to give a little bit of a shout out to one of the choirs that I accompany, Claygate Choral Society, who did a splendiferous concert last night under the direction of our new musical director, David Terry. It was a really, really, really good concert, and there was a really good feeling. So I know some people in that choir listen to that, and some people indeed who were at the concert. So that was a jolly, jolly good evening. And I'm going to give another plug, and why not? And it's not the one you're thinking of, brother. But yes, next weekend I am actually in Hereford doing piano duet recitals with my friend and ex-teacher Richard. And so some people who are usually here in this chat room, including my brother and Judy, will be there. So it'll be very nice to see you, and I'll get practicing. But this is what I was going to plug. Somebody might have recorded. Oh, okay. Excellent. I'd like to hear that. Well, bits of it anyway. We can gloss over one of the piano duets, I think. Yeah, this is what I'm plugging. I'm sorry it's not very legible. I'm going to try and get hold of a better copy of it. I'm really excited that on July the 3rd, I'm on a Naxos CD. I have arrived. Fantastic. I did a recording last October with the amazing Vasari singers, who are one of the UK's leading chamber choirs, conducted by a wonderful man, Jeremy Backhouse, who commissioned me to do an arrangement for them. And in fact, we ended up with 2 Michel Legrand vocal arrangements. And I also played piano for them for some of their other tracks. So that CD, The Music Never Ends, is coming out on Naxos label on July the 3rd. And we're having a bit of a party at this place called the Clapham Grand, and it is quite a grand place, actually. So if anybody local wants to come along and support us, we're having a great cabaret evening to launch the album there. Expect to see that poster quite a few times in the next couple of months. As I say, what is the point of owning a TV station if you can't broadcast your own stuff, eh? Now look, the next piece we're going to play, our penultimate piece, I looked it up. This is the eighth time in 252 programs that we've had this piece. That's how long we've been going, and it's one of my favourite ones by this composer. Do hope you enjoy. Very quick in there, Hannah. Thank you. Yes, indeed. Wives and Lovers, composed in 1963. Where's my button? Actually, I can put that back now we've got rid of Mr. Bean. Mr. Burt Bacharach. Lyrics, of course, by Hal David, equally wonderful. And it's a bopping little jazz waltz. It was composed to tie in with the 1963 film of the same name. However, it does not appear anywhere in the soundtrack of the film. And that was quite a thing in the 60s, composing a tie-in, pre-internet days. It was a good way to promote an upcoming feature, and it happened a lot in the 60s and the 70s. Burt Bacharach and Hal David were not especially keen on the concept. But fortunately, it was recorded by the amazing All the Best, Marion, Take Care, by the wonderful Mr. Jack Jones, who only passed away within the last 18 months, I think, and quite a unique voice. He won a Grammy Award for Wives and Lovers. So as I say, we've had that 8 times before on the programme. So it's all happening, isn't it? As I say, here we are on May the 18th, and you wouldn't forgive me if we didn't tell you that today is a very important day that is National Cheese Soufflé Day. Yes, I know. It's one of those things, isn't it? Perhaps we have all tried at some point in our lives, and some people like them. As a fairly young child, I did have a go at making them. Not with that much success. I did have another go some years later, and it was successful. However, I wasn't that impressed, really. But today, apparently, is National Cheese Souffle Day, whatever you may think of a cheese souffle. Yeah, it's a bit like this programme, really. It's just full of hot air and cheese, really, isn't it? And occasionally, like the piano, can go a bit flat, I find. Now, look, we are sort of moving into our last little sequence. I'm calling it a sequence tonight. But of course, this weekend, as well as Claygate's Chorals concert, we've had Eurovision, and Austria did very well and won. But not only did they do very well, I think our girls did rather well. Whatever the hell happened, it was a good song. I liked it. For the purposes of research, I did have a good listen to it during the week and analysed it a little. My analysis was that we didn't ever stand a hope of winning with it, not because it's not a good song. It is a good song, and they are good singers, and they sung it well, and the choreography, the staging, was very, very good from what I saw. There are a lot of themes going on in that song, and I don't think that's the right recipe to continue a souffle analogy for Eurovision, to have a real mix of styles going on. I'm rather intrigued why that little slideshow I prepared there is going at about 400 miles an hour. It's clearly had too much coffee, so apologies for that. But that, I knew we weren't going to win with that, so I knew I didn't have to learn the song to play for you tonight. But I'm going to end with a few other things which you will probably recognise to finish with, and then we'll say goodnight in our usual way. Do enjoy. there we go, just in case you didn't want it, a reminder of the 5 times that we did actually in the UK win Eurovision with some of those iconic songs there. So that was our little tribute to Eurovision to end with tonight. So I do hope you have a very good week that is to come, and some of you I look forward to seeing in Hereford at the end of the week, but here on YouTube we will be back hopefully next Sunday, and hopefully without that wretched white box. I don't like it at all. Do have a good week that is to come. Take good care of yourselves. Thanks so much for being here, for listening and commenting and all of that. See you next week. All the very best and good night.